Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Emily's Upcycled Home. On project number 1, we are going to deal with these beat up candle holders here. Now, they are brass, but they're pretty scraped up um, and not aged in a good way, if that makes sense to everybody. So, I'm going to come in here with Little Black Dress by DIY Paint, and I'm going to go ahead and put a coverage of that on both candlesticks. Now, it's not going to be a full coverage. There are going to be some gold pieces exposed because I want some of that gold to show through the paint, because when I come in with the next steps, it's not going to be a big deal. And I want both the exposed gold of the original material and as well as the gold rub and buff that I'm going to be adding also. So I have the first coat on, and I'm going to go ahead and spray these with the Rust-Oleum sealer and a matte coverage. Now, if you see that vase back there, that was supposed to be in this vignette, but I dropped it and it broke everywhere, so it's going to be a different vignette. So here I'm showing you how I added the cinnamon. I lost that footage, and what I did is I just add the cinnamon to give me some texture and some of that rust look, and then I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum sealer and then matted that into the paint. Now I'm going to come in here with the antique wax from Behr, and there was a picture up earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and add that on. And there I was showing you the difference between the two. And I'm gonna add this antique wax for both candlesticks. I'm sorry I lost that footage on the cinnamon, but I will probably try to do another project with that same look, with the rust look. And let's go ahead and continue on with this. So here's where I come in with the rub and buff, and I did get this off Amazon, and I'm just using a little piece of paper here to put that on. And then I'm going to come in with these little tools that I got from Hobby Lobby, and they're just blending brushes. They come in little sets, and I'm going to dip that into that rub and buff, and then I'm going to add that all over the candlestick, kind of going heavier on the bottom and pulling up to the top. And then I'm going to repeat that process for the other candlestick, just heavier on the bottom, blending from the top, and working that candle, that rub and buff into the candle, and hoping that some of the original gold is showing through also. moving on to project number 2. For project number 2, we're going to take this yellow canister here that I bought, and we're just going to spray paint it with the Rust-Oleum spray paint. Now, I'm not going to paint the inside because, you know, if you want to use it, I want you guys to still be able to use the piece. And if I paint it on the inside and it's not food safe, then you can't use it for food. But for you to be able to use the piece, I left the inside yellow and I'm just spraying the outside and the lid. And this is just a Rust-Oleum spray paint in the color white. And now for Mother's Day, I got my first ILD packet. So I'm going to use this on this vignette. And I'm going to add these pieces to this canister that we just painted in the white Rust-Oleum. And I'm just going to cut here and decide where I want my pieces to land. And I kind of want it to trail from the bottom all the way up and into the lid. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. It's a little bit more difficult to get to the rounded spots of the canister, but I'm just going to work with this, cut my transfer where I need to cut it so that it's easier for me to round the edges. And then I'll just continue up the piece, deciding where I want my transfer to land, and go ahead and come in with this handy little stick they give you and continue that process until the canister is where I want it and the transfer is placed where I want them on the jar. So there is a little bit yellow on these floral buds right here that I am transferring on this container. So that kind of ties into the yellow inside, and this is more of a muted, I guess, piece that I'm working on. And just going to continue, and you see me placing the transfer because not all of it's stuck. So then I will go back, and it's easy to go back and just fit those spots with little transfer pieces that you missed. And here I'm just rubbing in the transfer to make sure it has a nice bond. Now there were some wordings on the bottom that I just cut off of it, and I'm going to add those small wording detail to the top here, and then I'm going to add the other part to the bottom of this piece, and it's just going to add a little bit of detail there. Now for the lid, I want it kind of to travel up, so I just decided actually on this butterfly piece to tie in the bottom of the canister to the top, because there is the same style of butterfly on the flowers. Now I thought it just needed a little bit of wording, so I found a little part of a transfer that had some wording on it, and I think a simpler top here is better since all the base of the piece has so much going on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and see that yellow rim. I don't really want that to show, so I'm going to just come in with my chalk paint and paint the rim, not the inside of the piece, but just paint where some of the white didn't catch all the way. So let's move on to project number 3. And for project number 3, I thrifted this little cute shoe. It's all on a little stand, and it's a bronze dip shoe. But we're going to come in with this bare chalk paint and paint that up. And The idea is to distress it back to expose the gold. And then I'll find a way here to tie this piece into the vignette now that we're doing, since I was clumsy and I broke the vase. But we can move on here, and it's still going to be a cute vignette. And I'm just coming in with a smaller brush to get the backing where my bigger brush couldn't fit. And I'm going to get the front and the back, and then it's going to go in for a second coat. And then what I eventually do is I actually go over and just spray a little bit of the white spray paint over that, just to, you know, get a third light coat on top of it. So here's our piece. I'll coat it with the white paint. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to distress it. And I'm just taking a piece of my sandpaper that I have all used up. It still has enough to distress this piece. And I'm going to go around the piece and just distress where I want to distress. Hitting the back, hitting the raised areas. And then I'll come in and gently hit that shoe and pull some of those gold tones or copper tones, I think it's a brass tone, out of this piece, and then we'll move on from there. Now I'm just dusting it off, getting all of that stuff, and I bought a specific brush to just dust my pieces off, and that actually helps. So now I'm going to come in with this just Rust-Oleum matte clear enamel and coat that to protect that white paint that I have on there. And then to tie it in with the other piece, here I jumped ahead. For here, I'm just going to make a small bouquet of greenery and some baby's breath to go into the shoe. And I'm going to just size it and cut it to where I want the piece. And then I'm going to come in with my twine after arranging it and wrap that up with twine and knot it so that the bundle doesn't come apart. And that's going to be our little greenery bundle that's going to sit in our shoe here. And then I'm going to come in with those same ILD transfers from that same pack, and I'm going to find some transfer that fit into the vignette we're creating. And once again, I'm coming in with that lighter to clean up all the flyaways on my rope. Now I could have left it like this, but I needed a little bit more. And because my transfers here, I just got them, I wanted to do that. So I'm going to use some wording and a butterfly here. And we're going to go ahead and kind of coordinate it with our little vase that we created. So here I'm just positioning the little words where I want them, and then I'll put the rest of the word on the back, just a simple wording back there, and then this project will be done. And moving on to project number 4. For project number 4, I thrifted this candle holder, and it's a metal one, and it came apart, so then I'm going to use 2 different pieces and make 2 different little candle stands or risers. And I'm going to come in with that same Rust-Oleum spray paint, and I'm just going to go ahead and spray the first layer onto this piece. So I glued the top on already with E6000, and right here I was just checking the hold of the piece. And I'm going to come in here now with a piece of sandpaper and sand the surface of the wood, giving it a smoother texture and catching all those little flyaway fibers that are poking out of the piece and smooth those down. And I'm going to do that all the way around for the wood top. And the other one that's right here is just going to go for a different vignette. So I'm just going to work on this one little riser stand right here. So now I'm going to come in with my paint here, and this is white paint from the Bear Chalk paint line. And mind you, the top piece here is already spray painted in white, the Rust-Oleum white, and that's just going to kind of act like a primer and a bonder for this second coat that's going on. And I'm going to go ahead and go in and get all the base of the piece in this white color from Bear. For the wood round, I want a weathered wood look. So I'm going to come in here with this stain that we made with water, olive oil, black and white and brown paint mixed all together. And I'm going to go ahead and just put that on the surface, wiping off the excess. And now I'm noticing that it's not really absorbing into the wood here, and I'm wiping off most of it. And I'm thinking that I'm going to do the undercoat and leave the top sitting for a little bit longer and then come back in and wipe. The undercoat took it very well, but the top, you know, there's some kind of coverage up there that's not allowing the stain here to get absorbed. So then I'm going to come in with my sandpaper and scuff it up a little bit and maybe take off that top layer. And then come back in with the same liquid here or stain and repeat the process of putting the stain on top. And then I'm going to let this part sit for a while and see if it'll absorb better, and then just kind of pat it off. And I'm going to repeat that step until I like the look, leaving this one longer to sit. So here's the piece after I wiped off the top surface here, and I painted the bottom white, and I'm going to go in with another coat of white. It's not sealed, and you're going to see me here try to sand the piece, and it doesn't work out. So I end up just spray painting another coat of white spray paint on there. But right now I'm trying to figure out what kind of transfer I want on here. And going with the vignette that we have with the butterflies, I think I'm going to go ahead and add a butterfly to the top. So now I'm going to come in with that same packet and find some wording. Now I've found some wording on the top. It just describes what a floral plant is in the scientific names. So then I'm just going to add that strip of wording on the top where the butterfly's at. I don't think it needs anything more than that. And I'm going to leave the base white. And I might come in and lightly distress it, but I am not sure. But right here, I'm just adding that transfer wording, and I'm transferring over the butterfly as well. So right here, I'm just coming in with my leftover wax on this brush here and getting the edges. It's very light, but it gives it a little corner edge definition here. And then I'm going to come in with the big top sealer from DIY Paint Products, and I'm going to go ahead and seal the top of the stand and the other underneath part of the stand. So here's where I come in to sand it, but my paper is way too coarse. So then I decide I'm just going to go ahead and repaint everything white here and decide if I still want to sand it or not. So I'm just going to come back in with my spray paint, the white Rust-Oleum spray paint, and just go ahead and spray the whole piece. And then I'm going to set this aside and let dry, and then most likely I'll just seal the piece with some more Big Top or the Rust-Oleum spray. And then our project will be done. Shop my items on Emily's Upcycled Home on Facebook Marketplace. That link will be in the comments. I will have another link in the description sending you to my Facebook group page where I give you updates. Just a quick note here. I actually went over these with dry brush with white paint to change it up a little bit. Not saying that I didn't like them, but I wanted them to go with the vignette better. So I went ahead and dry brushed them. Don't forget to shop my items on Facebook Marketplace. Link in the comments. Thank you.